Hello, and welcome to MTI Matters, a series of programs focusing on MTI alumni and how their training at MTI has made a difference in their lives. My name is Kathy Matthews. I'm a career counselor, former instructor, and alumni of Manatee Technical Institute. I will be introducing you to some of your neighbors who have benefited from their training at MTI. Today, we are on the East Campus of Manatee Technical Institute in the Fire Academy. I will be introducing you to Stephen Rickman, who is a graduate of our EMT, Paramedic, and Firefighter program. We'll also be talking with one of his instructors and his current employer. So let's go see what's happening at MTI's Fire Academy. So I'd like to introduce you today to Jay Bush, Steve's former instructor. Hey Jay, how are you doing today?
Good, very good.
Good. Just like to ask a few questions about what you remember about Steve in the EMT and paramedic programs, and are you surprised of what he's doing right now?
No, I'm not surprised at all. I remember Steve when he first started. Actually, was a waiter at one of the restaurants in Sarasota, and he was eager to get in the program, and I have no doubts that he's going to end up going far where he's at now in the fire department. Very good. Is there anything special that you remember about him? His attitude and his sense of humor, which is two things that you kind of need in this profession, but he's always been an overachiever, so I think he's going to probably stay that way.
Can you add anything to what Steve had said about advice that he would give to a student that is considering coming into a public safety program?
I think that Steve's main thing that he would tell people is if you want to do something and you have the opportunity to take it and go with it. I think that's what his advice would be.
How about any preparation, like students in high school or out there have been out of work for a while and they're like, I'm thinking about public safety. What is the best way that they can prepare for a career or coming to school?
I think the biggest thing that the students need to do now coming into our program is just to be aware that it's a lot of time, and they need to be prepared as far as the responsibility, the time away from their family, and the effort that they're going to need to put into the program to get through.
As a counselor, I know there's a certain commitment that you have to make as far as time and some expense and some medical information that we need to get into the program. So that's a lot of good information. Jay, what do you think, how does MTI matter to you as an instructor and to our community?
I think that MTI offers a pretty valuable resource out here for students, like you said earlier, people that are either out of work, older students that are going back to school. They can get a skill. They can get a skill fairly quickly and good quality. And I think that's what they get out of MTI.
Jay, I know you're a fabulous instructor. You're a great colleague to work with. Can you give us a little background about your training and how you became an instructor here at MTI?
Actually, real quick, I actually wanted to be a paramedic since about the 4th grade. I got my paramedic in 1986 in Ohio. A little brief stint in the Army as a medic, and I started teaching about 1989 when I was still in the Army. My wife and I settled down here with our kids and began teaching down here at MTI.
Very good. I believe you were a part-time instructor to begin with, and that's when I met you when we were working together, and now you're full-time and you're the program director. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. It's amazing how things changed over the years, but I did do part-time here for several years and ended up applying for the director's position and got it.
Great, and we're so glad that you're here with us. That's about it. We really thank Jay for being here and adding to our family and our community at MTI and Manatee County. I'd like to introduce you now to Tim Hyden, who is Stephen's current employer. Welcome, Tim. It's good to see you always.
It's always good to see you, Kathy, and great to be here.
Thank you. You employ a lot of our students and employees around Manatee County and elsewhere. What made Stephen a little bit different and more employable that you hired him?
Well, during the interview process, in Steve, we saw someone that was very articulate and very detail-oriented. He was very sociable, which is very important in the fire service, any type of public safety. We were interacting with the public. And we saw in Steve someone who we felt would be a very good representative of our fire department, of the fire service, get out there and show the public that we're here for them, interact well with them, and take good care of them, which is what it's all about. He's done a great job at it, by the way, too.
Great, that's always good to hear. Can you, as an employer, go give some advice to students out there who are want to be a lot like Steve and come to some of our programs and want to get into a public safety program?
Well, I always tell anyone wanting to get into this profession how important your character is. They need to start from the day they walk in the door at MTI, or for that matter, any part of their lives, to make sure that their character remains intact, that they're looked at with respect. Once you lose that, it's extremely hard to get it back. And that is looked at so closely in this profession because it's a profession of trust. We're entrusted with people's care. We're in people's homes. Your character has got to be the #1 quality we look for when we're looking to hire someone.
Well, that sounds really wonderful. I think you're talking a lot about soft skills, and that's what one thing that MTI does is focus on soft skills along with technical skills. So that's really wonderful. Tim, I really admire you for many, many things. You've done a lot of great things in the community. How does MTI matter to you? Now, I personally know that your wonderful wife completed our LPN program, so I know that MTI matters a lot to your family. But how does it matter to you in particular, and how does that relate into mattering into our community?
Well, I've had a unique opportunity to be involved with MTI for a little over 10 years now, and as an instructor primarily, but that's evolved into a lot of other things, as you mentioned. Our new Alumni Association is coming online, and I'm a part of that. And so all of that, to me, is very important. Anyone who's not fully aware of the value of MTI really needs to take some time to look into it. This school is an absolute jewel to have in our local community. I am very proud to have been a part of it throughout the last 10 or 11 years. I've watched it evolve into something I never would have imagined at the time. The new campus being built out here on the east side of the county now. It's very exciting, and I'm, again, just very proud to have it a part of my life and a part of our community.
And I'm glad to have the opportunity to work with Tim on so many different levels with our Alumni Association, worked with him in the EMS department. He's filled in a lot of times, and he's helped us a lot with our 9/11 celebrations and memory programs that we've had here. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to say all those kind words about MTI. I appreciate it. Gives me great pleasure to introduce to you your neighbor, Stephen Rickman, from our EMT, paramedic, and firefighter program. Steve, it's so good to see you again. What have you been up to? I understand you're working, and I'd like for you to tell us all about what you're doing.
It's very nice to see you again, Ms. Matthews. It's been a long road, but it's gone by quite fast. I moved here 3 years ago from the California area, and I knew I wanted to get a career in public service. We had an incident that happened back in California, and that made me want to join the fire service. So I came here not knowing where to go or what to do. I found MTI online, and ended up coming and starting the EMT program here. Never really enjoyed school before this, and really enjoyed the class. I had a bunch of different instructors, with Jim Cena being the main. Really enjoyed myself, had a great time, and then went straight into the fire program afterwards. Enjoyed Chief Schwartz also. Runs a tight ship, but we got through it and had a really good time, and actually miss it sometimes. Some of the guys that I met, I'm still friends with now. Right after that, I went straight into the paramedic program, because I knew that in this job market, with it being so tough getting a job in the fire industry, that I had to do everything I needed to do to make myself as employable as possible. So I started the paramedic program, and then ended up getting a job shortly afterwards. So I actually applied with 7 different departments within a matter of 6 months to achieve my goal of getting in the fire department.
That sounds wonderful, and I know that it's very difficult for employers when they have so many people applying for these jobs. And I'm sure that you're going to tell us a little bit more about some of your student activities that you participated in along the way that might have made a difference in your resume that you've got that interview. Specifically speaking about how you had that gold medal in Skills USA. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that experience?
Sure. Chief Schwartz actually came up to me and asked me if I wanted to compete in a firefighting operations competition in Kansas City. Didn't know much about it. We watched a video, and it looked really exciting and looked like a lot of fun. So we all went to Kansas City, and I was in the competition where we had to don our gear, tie off tools for hoisting, compete in a CPAP, which is a nationally recognized test for firefighting, and then we also had a written test. So Chief Schwartz gave me a ton of questions to study from, and I did as much physical activity as I could preparing for it, and ended up taking the gold.
That is so exciting how you represent Manatee Technical Institute in that competition nationwide. Also, I know that during that competition, Dr. Cantrell says that she wants you to learn as much as you can, do the best you can, and have fun. So did you have a little fun while you were in Kansas City?
We did. We had a lot of fun. Downtown Kansas City is a fun place to be for nightlife. We couldn't stay out too late. I think there was a curfew enforced, but we did have a lot of fun down there.
I know. I am a chaperone in Kansas City in that competition. They do really work hard. They have a lot of fun, but they learn a lot. And we make true champions of all of our students. Steve, can you tell us, I've asked this other question before, what do you think as a student, any type of advice that you could give somebody out there that's thinking the same thing you thought, like, I think I'd like to get into public safety. How would you best advise them?
Well, number one and foremost, it starts from the very beginning. The second you get into EMT school or CPR or anything, you need to try to do the best that you can in every program you go through, because it does affect you in the end. And I think my biggest thing that I went above and beyond was to apply for as many departments as possible and get my name out there as much as possible. I know we all have our certain areas or certain departments that we want to work for, and it just so lucked out that I did get hired where I live here in Manatee County for East Manatee. But you know, I applied for 7 departments within 6 months, so I think the biggest thing is getting your name out there and doing everything you can to get the job.
Well, I think you prepared yourself, and I think MTI did a great job in preparing you to get the skills that you need to compete and apply to the job. And I know that you're working with a wonderful employer in Tim Hayden. One last thing, Steve, how would you sum it up that MTI matters for you yourself as a person, also as a family, and how MTI matters with our community?
Well, like I said earlier, I never enjoyed school until coming to MTI. The instructors were wonderful. Mrs. Hart, Mr. Bush were excellent paramedic instructors. They really kind of break it down to you, and so you're more able to understand it rather than just reading from the book. They give you examples from their own experience in the job field. My family is more than happy. For 10 years, I worked in a job that I was promised the world, and that didn't happen. So I can't be happier. My family can't be happier with myself being employed with the fire department and living the life that I want to now live.
And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but having you there in case I have a fire in my home, although I don't live in East Manatee, but I know that the East Manatee citizens are really going to benefit from having you there working at East Manatee Fire Department, so they're very lucky about that. Well, thank you so much for coming back and seeing us, and I know that you know a lot of the folks here at school, so please come back and see us, and thanks again for speaking with us today.
I will. Thank you, and thanks to everybody for all the help along the way, and thank you for everyone at my department also. Everyone's been great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank our guests today, Stephen Rickman, Jay Bush, and Tim Hayden, for taking time to come out and talk with us. Stephen's story has certainly been inspiring, and I'm sure if we ask many of our other graduates, you would hear the same story. MTI does make a difference in everybody's life, and it certainly does matter. If you're interested in one of our award-winning programs at MTI, 8 times Skills USA champion, please look to the screen and jot down our website or our telephone number and give us a call about one of these programs. We'd be glad to hear from you. We would love to share one of your stories about your success and how you are benefiting from the program and training that you received at MTI. Thank you for tuning in, and in the future we'll be introducing you to other students who have made a difference. I've worn a lot of different hats in my time, but this one is pretty heavy, and it's probably going to give me some hat hair when I finish, so I'll be sure to go to the mirror and prep up. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.